everyone, it's Sammy from Sammy's Sweet Life, and today I have a very overdue video. This is my April budget update video. I am going to talk about the no spend in this video a little bit. We are well into May at the time of filming this, but you probably won't even see it until June based on how slow I've been at editing videos lately. And I will have the May and June budget update for you guys in July. I'll just combine the two. And also I'm doing something weird today. I have the shades pulled down. It's still letting in light. I feel like the lighting's still okay. It's just the light was so bright coming in and I didn't want it to mess up the video being too bright. You know, big sun streaks across the video. So hopefully the shade thing works so I can film at this time of day when it's super bright outside. So moving into our April budget, it was a fail month for us. I'm kind of kicking myself for this one because I did not insert the receipts as we went. Usually, like every time I get a receipt that night, I will put it in. I'll just set the receipt next to my computer so that next time I'm on the computer, I'll just insert it into our spreadsheet. And I did not do that all April long, and then didn't mess with April until just like last week, like in May, way into May, I didn't mess with anything in April, and it was shocking. Like, if you don't keep track of your stuff on at least like a weekly basis, it's really hard to know where your spending's at, and I totally went off the rails as far as our spending goes. So with that said, I did mostly stick to the no buy. I'll talk about that more in detail after we talk about our categories, but I didn't really buy a whole lot of anything extra. It's just food, basically. So our grocery bill was insane this month, and it was just all these little trips that added up. I would send Johnny to the store at least like 2 times a week because I had something that I wanted to eat, and I was really sick in April. I haven't been as sick so far in May, but I was really sick in April, and I would have him run to the store for whatever sounded good at the time, and it didn't matter how much it cost, it didn't matter what it was. Certain things would sound good, and I was so miserable that I didn't care what it was. If I wanted cheesecake, he would be more than willing to go run and get me cheesecake, so it really threw off our budget. There were times he was running out just getting me soup, and there were times he was running out getting the cheesecake, and it really just was all the time. Like, we had so many grocery store transactions. It was completely over the top, and usually I'll have like one line for each week and then a midweek grocery run. So I'll do a weekly groceries, and then we'll have to go get like fresh something in the middle of the week. And that's about it. I have 2 lines per week in the grocery budget, but there were so many lines, I had to add more lines to my spreadsheet. And I have like a big section always blank in that grocery budget, and we filled them up, and it was just ridiculous how many times we went to the grocery store. It was like every other day all month long. And with that said, we went way over our budget. Usually I have $500 budgeted for groceries. We spent almost $900. We went over by $396.42. So basically almost $400. We almost doubled our grocery budget, and that was just ridiculous. I was really embarrassed after looking at it and adding them all in. I just couldn't believe how much it added up to. And of course, like, it doesn't break the bank. It's not like a dire situation for us, but it still like stung seeing the big number, knowing how like out of control it was. And going along with that, our eating out was a little bit over too. Not so bad. I can totally be okay with the over on the eating out because it's not as big of a deal. It was over by $59.49, which is basically $60 over in the eating out / entertainment category. And that's not that big a deal. If it's $100 over or less than $100 over, I don't really sweat it that much. But when we're talking, I almost doubled the grocery budget with all these extra runs to the grocery store and not keeping track of it on a daily or weekly basis. It was extreme, and it's embarrassing, and I almost don't want to film this video because it's just bad. Like, there's no justifying it. Yes, I was sick, but we totally could have made do. I've kept a much better eye on it in May. Now, we also went over on the household budget by $154.12, and this was mostly just getting a microwave. We ended up getting a microwave because this house doesn't come with one. It had a double wall oven with no microwave. So we made the decision to get a microwave. It was just so much easier for me, and I'm so glad that we did because I was just getting so sick of smelling any kind of smells, especially during that first trimester being pregnant. It was rough. So having the microwave to heat things up made it so much easier. So I don't regret that at all. It's actually not even close to in the budget. It made us over in that budget category, but it was one of those things like I didn't care at the time. Like, I needed the microwave so I could heat up things without stinking up the whole house using the stove, and it's really come in handy. We've loved having a microwave again. And the other household stuff was just replacement stuff or stuff we needed for the new house. We just moved in March, and so some of the things we were noticing in April, all of it was like replacement stuff. We needed batteries, I needed deodorant, and one of my laptop keys broke, so we needed to replace it because I couldn't type with my laptop without the little key. It was just really hard to do that, and I did that for a couple of months actually, and it was just really hard. Livy needed a couple of new water bottles for school because the water bottles over time, you know, the lids don't work as good, so if you tip it, it will spill. We needed a couple of household things from Lowe's. All those little things just added up this month for the household budget, which our household budget to begin with is only like 50 bucks a month. We went over on Livy's category by $36.67, and that was because we ended up going crazy on the perler beads. I still got her Scholastic books, and we also picked out some summer toys at Michael's. They had some really good summer toys, and we've been playing with those nonstop pretty much, so it was a really good Livy investment. I've said at the beginning of the no buy, I'm not going to scrimp on stuff for her. I really want to make sure we're getting enrichment stuff, we're getting the books, and that's one of the categories that I'm not really big on the no spend because I want her to have everything that she needs. Not necessarily toys, because she's got plenty of toys like you can see in the background. She's got tons of toys, she's good on that, but there's certain things she needs, like she needs some sand toys so when we go to the park she could play. That was one of the things that I got. I also got a foam airplane, one of those big like foam airplanes, so she could go to the park with her daddy and play with that. And I also got a set of those paddles with a sticky ball. So the sticky ball actually sticks to those paddles, and that ball has been like the favorite thing to play with for just weeks and weeks now. She just absolutely loves that thing. So they were definitely good purchases for her. We do have a sinking fund for clothes, and again this month I needed more clothes for Livy. She just continued to grow out of things, and I needed more school clothes for her. So we spent $100.65 on clothing, and also I already know like some of the stuff that's come out in May, we're totally going to go over that sinking fund that I had for clothing, and it's not due to going excessive on clothing or anything. Like we buy things as we need to replace things as she grows out of things, and also I'm growing out of things. I did not realize how little my existing clothing was gonna work for me already. Like my belly is hanging out of my shirts, which is not good. So I really thought I could make do with most of what I already had. I basically had to get a whole maternity wardrobe, which I'll talk about more in May as far as the expenses goes, but it definitely pushed us over our clothing budget for the year. But now I definitely should be set, aside from maybe getting another pair of shorts, or if it gets cold, a pair of maternity leggings later on in the pregnancy. We'll see about that. But yeah, I didn't expect to have to basically replace all my clothes for this pregnancy. As far as vacation goes, we did end up scheduling a 2-week beach vacation, and that increased the rental house cost. The first payment of that came out in March, and then the second payment will come out in May. But this month, for April, we bought the flights and the car rental, and the car rental basically doubled because it's 2 weeks versus 1 week. And then the flights last year were sticker shock. This year we knew they were going to be bad. So altogether, the flights and the car cost $16.67 and 71 cents. So close to $1,700 for the flights and the car, which we knew it was going to be bad. And we were going to go over our projected budget for the year because we did end up getting pregnant. We decided to take a two-year, ooh, that'd be a long time. We decided to take a 2-week vacation versus just a 1-week vacation. It did make the expenses increase, but we won't be taking a vacation next year. We'll have a tiny baby, and so we're definitely not going to be taking the big beach vacation next year. So overall, it was a good income month because Johnny got his bonus, and we also got our tax return. So we got a little bit of money from the tax return. The bonuses are always a really good benefit, but it was a really bad expenses month. We just went way over the top, especially on the groceries, but in a couple of other categories we went over as well. So overall, it was just a bad budget month. And I definitely attribute that to being sick and not paying attention and not writing down the receipts as they come in, like I was being really diligent about basically like the last year and a quarter, all of last year, and then like the first quarter of this year. I was really good about keeping track line by line, receipt by receipt, and making sure that everything was entered. And I had to go through like a giant stack of receipts when I was entering all the April stuff. I also had to reconcile it with the bank statement and with the credit card statement. We do use a credit card, just pay it off at the end of every month. I was actually going to talk about the Money Guy show in a little while, but they did a show. They mentioned this in the show I'm going to talk about, but basically we only use a credit card as like easy cash. We just swipe instead of have to carry around cash or get cash out of the bank. We use it for the convenience, but we never carry a balance. We just always pay it off at the end of the month. And that's what the Money Guys recommend. It was really just all those extra grocery runs that really just knocked our budget out of the water. It was just really a really bad month, like shockingly bad. It was just tons of transactions that were like under 20 bucks. So like at the time, it doesn't feel like a lot, but they really add up. Like they add up to almost double our grocery budget. And I just wrote down a few of the numbers, like $11.72, $14.97, $12.92, $3.48, $19.31, etc. Like expenses like that, they're very small. You don't think about it being that big of a deal, but when you're doing that every other couple of days, it really adds up. So the only other category I had written on here was my category. I do get $25 a month for my allowance, and I spent it on perler beads. So I just took $25 off of how much we spent on perler beads and put that as my allowance. And it's just a mommy-daughter thing that we have really enjoyed doing together. And I really enjoy making like the characters. I made bunches of Mario characters, and Livy just plays with them. She thinks they're so cool, and we had a ton of fun with it. We went totally overboard, but really like my soft spot is for Olivia. You know, anything that's going to enrich her life, I'm totally a softie for. I've definitely been more mindful of it this year with the no spend, but we did go over with the perler beads. We did go excessive. I've got thousands and thousands of perler beads now because I bought like 2 big jars. They had different color combos in the jars. I bought individual bags of certain colors that we just blasted through really quick. And it's just such a fun thing that she and I can do together, and I really enjoyed it. And it's things like that that I'm not gonna cut. Like, yes, I wanna stick to the no spend, but at the same time, like I wanna really enjoy some things, and that's brought Livy and I so much joy being able to do that together. And it's things like that that are important. That's where I want our money to go. I want our money to go to experiences or things that we can do together and not just stuff. So far, we've done really good at not just buying more junk and more stuff. And that was the main point of the no buy in the first place for me, is to get rid of like hitting up Amazon anytime I think I want something. And I've really cut that out. I don't have that impulsive thing like anytime I think of something off the top of my head, like, oh, I could really use some random thing that I think about in the moment and I obsess about for a day, we get, and then it becomes junk and I don't really use it or value it. I found that we've been really more mindful of how the money is spent aside from the food. The food was bad, I'm not gonna lie, it was really bad, but as far as junk and bringing junk into the house, we haven't done that. And I love that. And I love that the no spend helped us rein that part of it in. And I don't go and buy things from Amazon. We hardly ever get packages. Like, I was really excited about getting new school clothes for her and getting some maternity clothes for me because it meant we got some packages. We just haven't gotten the couple of Amazon packages every week like we used to. And it's different. It really cut off that, oh, I think of something and I need it right now. I haven't done that at all. And even like in the beginning of the no spend, I said I could have certain makeup things be the exceptions. Like I still wanted to get a concealer or a setting powder or both, and I never ended up getting either one. I probably will at some point. Jeffree Star came out with concealers and his look really good. I may end up getting one of his. It's something that I'll think about later on, but it's just, I don't have a whole lot of urges to go out and buy new different things like that. Even the ones I gave myself exceptions for in the beginning, I still haven't gotten. So I think the no spend has been really good for us. We're almost at the end of May as of me filming this, so we're almost 5 months into it and it feels different. It's been a mindset shift and I really like it. I really like not always thinking about stuff. So even though it was a good income month, we totally did not hit my budget number for savings. I have a set goal number for the year and then I break it down by month, and we didn't hit that this month. Actually, between this month and going in the red last month, we are down from my goal number where we should be by 4 months in. We are down by $1,010.90. So we're in the 4 figures now. It's over $1,000 deficit so far, and that's vacation, that's eating out too much. We easily could have been closer to our goal had we not just gone crazy on the food. That's really where I feel like where the failure has come from, the budget side of things. And looking forward, May's gonna be rough too because I did purchase more clothing, and also the second installment of that vacation comes out. So May is gonna be another rough month, and then from there, we shouldn't have like major things coming out. After all the vacation stuff comes out, those are like the big hit things, you know, $1,700 extra dollars in the month, not even on top of, you know, the budget categories. That's a lot. And yes, it's worked in. Yes, it'll work out in the end, but for this month, it hurts. It really hurts seeing that we're under my goal number by so much. And I feel like this happened last year too. I felt like we had a turnaround near the middle of the year, but we're not gonna have the same thing that happened last year. Johnny sold off a bunch of stocks and he did not reinvest all of it. He only reinvested half of it. So I think this year he's just going to reinvest all of it because we are hitting our goal numbers. I'll talk about the money guy thing in a second, but we've hit our goal numbers for like what I want in the bank. I talked about this last month. You can go watch that video and get a little more insight into this if you don't know what I'm talking about. But we basically have our numbers that I want in the bank as far as how much I have just liquid in the bank. I want to be able to access a certain amount of money. We already basically have that target. We've got most of it in that high yield savings and then some of it's in the checking. We just need to transfer it over. So technically we have it. It's just not in the exact account that I want it in. But other than that, like, I want to invest everything. I want to let our money work for us. In the high yield savings, it's not making a whole lot. It's not making as much as it could if it was diversified. So we're definitely working more towards investing now. So last year he sold off a bunch of stocks. This year we're not going to do that. We're going to reinvest anything. If we sell anything, it's going to be reinvested and diversified. So it won't be like a mini tiny windfall like we got last year where it basically met our entire goal for the year after he sold the stocks. We're not going to have that this year. So it's going to be a really tight squeeze to try to get to that goal number at this point because I see what's going to come out in May. Of course, we'll have a couple more bonuses from his work, but other than that, like, I kind of see what's going to happen the rest of the year as far as where we can hit, and I'm not sure we're going to hit it this year. I have a pretty lofty like savings goal, but with us investing so much more than we did last year, I don't know that we're going to hit that number, but I also don't really care that much. I do not put the investments into the budget spreadsheet. I only put like the liquid cash that we can access in that sheet. So that's what I'm talking about with the goal number. And the goal number itself is just less and less important. As our bank account has the right amount in it, that goal number is less important and we can invest more. And so the savings goal is not that big a deal. I still want to stick to our budget categories, but it's not so critical to save that much anymore. And also, I didn't mention this, but he's taking, I don't know what percentage it is, but it's a pretty decent percentage. It's like 8% or 10% each month is coming out and going into mutual funds and investments, whereas before that was just money that was going into savings. So that's definitely affecting our bottom line as far as, you know, my savings goal as well. I just didn't mention that. He'd started that at the beginning of this year. So anyway, enough talking about investments. I don't know a whole lot about it aside from we're diversifying. We're not putting everything, like all our eggs in one basket type of thing. We're not doing anything super drastic or super risky. We're just keeping things like middle of the road risk. The investing thing is totally his ballgame. He's studied it and researched it and he's looking into it. I feel really comfortable and confident with it. He's a numbers guy and, you know, he's an engineer. So that's just kind of where his brain is at. And he tells me about it and it just like goes way over my head. So I'm just like, okay, I trust you. He tries to fill me in on it. Anyway, I want to talk about net worth. So the Money Guy Show did a video talking about your net worth by age, like how much you should have as your net worth at each age. And they also talked about having a net worth statement. They say every year you need to look at all of your accounts and all of your money and see where your net worth is at. And we've never really done this. Johnny has an idea of where it is, but not like the exact number, the exact dollar amount. You know, we've always talked about it. I know kind of what's in each account, what's in investments, what's in retirement. He mostly keeps track of our HSA, our investments, our retirement, and he'll like fill me in on those numbers. And then I keep track of like the day-to-day stuff, the high yield savings account, the regular savings, and our budget from day to day. So he has his job as far as the finances goes, and I have my job as far as the finances goes. We communicate with that, but we didn't ever do a net worth statement until just recently. And we have our net worth statement. I think especially the last couple of years, we've worked really hard to rein in some of our spending, and I'm really happy at where we are. We're above the average. And now I will say I pulled up some averages from CNN Money, and these are much lower averages than the Money Guys shared in that video. I'll link to their video. It's also a podcast. You can find them on any kind of podcast app. You can find them as well, but I'll link to the specific video where they're talking about net worth by age, and you have to go through, and I didn't want to watch the whole thing again to pull the numbers. So I just pulled the numbers from CNN Money, what they think you should have. But I think these numbers are bad. Like, if you only have this much in your net worth, when you're getting close to retirement, one of the numbers is like your age, you're getting close to retirement. I think you should have more. I want to say the Money Guy numbers were at least double these numbers as far as their averages go. But I'm just going to read you down the list. I'll try to pop things up on the screen for you guys. Also, I want to clarify with your net worth, you take out all your debts too. So if you have a mortgage or a car payment or credit card debt or student loan debt, whatever kind of debt you have, you subtract that from the money that you do have. And a lot of people have negative net worth if they have too much debt. So you have to subtract your debts. So this is what CNN Money says, which the money guys think you have to have more. They say for somebody between the ages of 25 and 34 years old, you need to have $9,000 in your net worth. And that seems really small to me, but you got to think like in that range, you're thinking like people probably have a car payment or two. They probably still have some student loan debt. They probably have a pretty hefty mortgage at that point. You haven't paid down your mortgage very much at that point. And then when you're between the ages of 35 and 44, you should have $52,000 as your net worth, which again, you're still paying down your house. So people probably have a lot of debt as far as that. You're probably maybe still paying off student loans at that point. When you're between the ages of 45 and 54, it's saying your net worth should be $100,000. And this is the one that I'm like shocked that this is what it is. When you're between the ages of 55 and 64, your net worth should be $180,000. And I'm thinking, you know, you're really close to that retirement age. A lot of people are retiring early in that category. And if you only have $180,000 in your net worth, like this includes your retirement savings and everything, you're just not ready to retire. I don't know how people can retire with only that much in the bank. So I really think these are really bad numbers and they're not enough. And the Money Guy show recommends saving 15 to 20% of your gross annual income. And most people look at their net income, like what's left over after taxes, and then they save from that. He's saying, look at your whole gross income before taxes and save 15 to 20% of that. And that's hard for a lot of people. That's a stretch for most people probably. The Money Guy's whole thing is compounding interest. If you can do that, if you can put that and diversify that and put it especially in retirement early on, the earlier the better, because you'll get that compounding interest. And it was just really eye-opening to see his net worth video and see the numbers and try to compare where we are. We're in our early/mid 30s at this point. I'll be 32 soon. So we're getting up to the mid 30s area. It's really eye-opening to see where we should rank as far as our age and our net worth and our debt level. We don't have any debt. We sold our house, so we don't even have house debt right now. But yeah, it's all really eye-opening. I definitely recommend running a net worth statement because you'll really get to see where you are and where you rank as far as other Americans in your age groups. Definitely check that video out down below and see about the net worth stuff and make a net worth statement if you've never done it. So anyway, the more I look into all this financial stuff, the more we diversify with investments, the more confident I am feeling about our just position in life and our situation. I'm really starting to feel passionate about the finances. Yeah, we totally screwed up in the month of April with the food. We're doing much better in May and we will continue to do better. It was just totally an eye-opening experience to not keep track of it for a month. And that's what happens. Like if you don't have a budget, that can happen. You don't really think about, you know, the $15 expenses and those add up, and it totally bit us in the butt this month. And it really let me know how important the budget is. When you don't use the budget, then it's useless. So you definitely have to use it. And I learned that in a big way this month. So overall, I think it was good, even though the numbers sucked for that part. So I hope you guys liked this video. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll have that Money Guy link down below for you guys, as well as my budget playlist link. So if you want to catch up on other budget videos, you can watch those. This is my second year of keeping track on a monthly basis for you guys, and it really holds me accountable. I didn't really care, like during the month, I was just kind of in survival mode and the budget was the last thing on my mind at that point in time. But now that I'm starting to feel better, I'm definitely embarrassed of April, but I wanted to share it. I wanted to be accountable with you guys. I hope that this video helped you guys in some way. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Have a great day. Bye.